Tuesday evening, which is a strange time for me to go live, but I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for joining me for our little chat. It's a little color chat we're gonna have tonight. So say hello, tell me where you're from, and just in case we haven't met yet, my name is Chris Acton with Acton Creative, and I love me some color. So I thought we would have a little time together, talk about color. Hello, Michelle from Southern Indiana. Where in Indiana are you, my friend? Let's see here. Let's see. It's always one of those where I'm like, what button do I push to see the comments? Oh, hi, Joyce. Oh, loves color. Excellent, Joyce. I love that. Oh, you're in Nashville, Michelle? Nashville is beautiful. I went to IU in Bloomington, so I know all about lovely Nashville, Indiana. That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, what I thought we would do, yeah, Michelle says, you know us well. Yes, Nashville is beautiful. Any chance I get to go down and visit that part of the state is that's a treat for sure. Hello, Kim, Southern Virginia. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Excellent. I bet Southern Virginia is beautiful, Kim. Oh, and Sharon is on from Cody, Wyoming. Ooh, very nice. I have never visited Wyoming. I need to put that on my list for sure. So yeah, as you guys come in, just say hi and tell me where you're watching from. I am in Northwest Indiana, just about 4 miles from Lake Michigan. So I'm basically a suburb of Chicago. So we're having our typical kind of September here where it's cooling off, but we're still gonna have like 5 days in a row would be mid 80s. Yes. Oh, is it Lee? Is it Lee or Leah from the West Coast? Woohoo! Love that. Excellent. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so why don't we just kind of dive right in? First of all, I want to find out what is on your loom because I love any opportunity to connect with my fellow weavers and to find out what you're working on. I have some towels going right now. Who else has towels in the group? It's such a classic item to make. There's Denise from Connecticut. Hello, Denise. I have dear friends in Connecticut, so I have a very soft spot in my heart for the folks out to the East Coast in Connecticut. I love that. They're in Guilford. Denise, let me know where you are if they're anywhere close to that. So, let me know where you, if you're making towels right now, yes? Michelle is doing plaid towels for Christmas gifts. I love that. Oh, hi, is it Candy from Texas? I love that. Excellent. Hi, Sandra. Sandra is doing double weave blanket for donation. Oh, I love that. How sweet. I love the fact that it's for a donation. Is it one of those where they're calling for just blankets, or is that just kind of your own personal? I love that. That's so sweet. So yeah, so keep it coming. Let me know what is on your loom at the moment. And if anybody else, I saw one other person was making towels along with me because, towels are just fun. And as weavers, we do towels pretty much better than anyone else for sure. Sharon says she just finished her first 2 placemats as a new weaver. Congratulations, Sharon. That's great. Denise says, Guilford is about half an hour. Oh, awesome! Yes, you're right around the corner from my friends there in Connecticut. I love that. Excellent. Okay, so here is what we're going to do this evening, my friends. We're going to kind of talk about color, which is one of my favorite topics. And we'll kind of find out where you are and how I can help you. So first of all, here is my question when it comes to color. Do you consider yourself a color ninja or a color novice? Where do you fall in that kind of range between just starting out and, oh, I got this. I understand color. I use it all the time. I love to work with color. Or maybe you're like, yeah, it makes me a little nervous. I don't, it's not my thing. So let me know where you fall on that. Leah says my loom has finger weight green yard for a scarf. Lovely, playing with designs. I love that. Sandra says she's a ninja. I love that, Sandra. Leah says next up will be Christmas towels. Oh, see, more towels. I love that. So yeah. Oh, Katie says she's a ninja. I love that. That's awesome. Michelle, ninja with quilting, somewhat less with weaving. Still learning. Yeah. So let me know. We've got quite a few ninjas in the group. Any novices? Anyone who's like, I don't know. I just try some stuff and hope it works. Fingers crossed. Let me know where you fall in that range there between those two ends of the spectrum. Because the thing about weaving and color, which makes it, I think, particularly difficult versus other crafts, is that as a weaver, you not only have to pick one set of colors for your warp, you then also have to decide what you're going to do in the weft, how they're going to intersect. And that is a whole nother ball of wax, isn't it? Right? Let's see. Sharon chimed in. Confident with color in crochet and quilting, novice with weaving. I love that. Very nice, Sharon. Kim says she's making a baby blanket on a 24-inch rigid heddle loom. Congratulations. That's wonderful. So, so I have always found that weaving is just trickier with, or sorry, color is just trickier with weaving, right? Have you found that? I remember early on I had this project and I had this beautiful warp, and it never occurred to me that when I add all white in the weft, the whole thing was going to look like one big pastel piece, and that was never ever my intention. Let me know if you've had any of those projects where it just went sideways. You're like, that I didn't see that coming. That was not what I wanted to do with this project, because we've pretty much all been there. If you've been weaving for any length of time, there's usually some kind of color, I don't say color fail, but there's always a learning experience when it comes to color for sure. Leah says a color novice learning as a weaver. I love that. Very nice. Here, see, okay. Sandra says, been there. Yeah, Sandra can relate for sure. Yes. I just remember looking at the project going, okay, what just happened? Like I picked these beautiful rich colors in the warp, and then the weft just blah, it was not good. Now you have to understand that I'm not a pastel fan myself, so that was not going to be my cup of tea. But that is part of, I think, why color is so tricky. It's also why color is completely magical for a weaver. So tell me this, have you ever been working on a project and you kind of randomly put some colors together and it turned out great? Like you just didn't anticipate what it would look like when it all intersected with each other and came together. Because that is this, like, there's always that little bit of unknown when it comes to weaving, right? I think in your head you can kind of anticipate a lot of things happening and going well, but there's always that little moment when you're like, I didn't see that coming, and isn't that gorgeous? Kim says she's second year weaver. Congratulations, Kim. That's great. Michelle says, which is using hand spun, which has its own unknowns. Oh, it totally does, Michelle. Yes, that's a great example for sure. So with the fact that color is kind of tricky and it's hard to always plan for how it's going to come together, I have found that for me, a color gamp has been a fabulous tool to have at my disposal. Now, you may or may not have heard of a color gamp, but a color gamp is this lovely behind me. Usually looks just exactly like this. It has a whole bunch of, what Sandra says she cheats, she uses a color wheel. Oh, that works too. Absolutely, yes, yeah. But a color gamp is usually, it's a color study is what it is, and it usually looks like this. You have a series of colors in the warp, and then you have a series of colors in the weft. And the whole goal is for you to use this time to do a deep dive into color and see how everything plays together. That is the whole point of a color gamp. And I have gotten so much value out of creating my own and just the things that you learn from going through the experience. Because I think for me, what happens is you have a project that is just about color. Now, in the project, you're going to play with some different fibers and play with a little bit of pattern, but the goal is to discover color. So I think just by dedicating one project itself just to learning about color is so worthwhile. For instance, there's a couple things that I learned when I went through and made my own color gamp. First of all, I have to look at my notes. First of all, I learned that, and I kind of knew this anyways, but it really drove home the fact that when you are up close next to the fabric, it looks completely different than if you go stand on the other side of the room, right? Now, we all know this because we've all done projects before. However, for most of our weaving experiences, we're looking at the fabric from like, what, 18 inches away, maybe 2 feet away, right? Because we're sitting at the loom, we're creating the fabric, it's going along great, but we're looking at it this close. And color is funny because this close, I can see that this purple and this brown, I can see the purple and the brown here. But if I step back from across the room, you're never gonna know that there is those two colors in there because your eye is just gonna blend it together, right? I always like to think about, do you guys know the word, or the phrase pointillism? Do you know that one? By the way, Kim jumped in. She said, yes, when I need, what did she say? She said, yes, when I need to see what blends, we'll turn to my favorite book, the Handweaver's Pattern Directory book. Nice, excellent, that's a great resource, for sure, yes. But it's amazing, I think, that when you're close up to the fabric, you can see the details of the two colors that are intersecting. But when you step back, it looks very different, and your eye is just going to blend that. So, so pointillism. Have you heard of this? Or any kind of, if you've done any kind of art history, of course you're going to know what pointillism is. Anyone want to jump in and help me out here? Pointillism. If you took any kind of art history, like I said, it is this technique. Yes, art history. Yes, thank you very much, Michelle. Yes, here is the concept behind pointillism: is that let's say you take 8 colors, just like the basic kind of the Roy G. Biv kind of just the basic rainbow, and you want to make a painting, but you're only going to use those 8 colors, and you're not going to blend them. You're going to use a dot of red next to a dot of blue, and when you step back, your eye is going to say, "Oh, that's purple." That is kind of the theory behind pointillism, and I find that weaving it's just like that, right? Because there's so many times when the warp and the weft, just the way they intersect with each other, your eye is going to look at that and go, okay, I'm going to put that together and make a different color out of those two together. So I have found that with a color gamp is a great way to kind of just do like a deep dive into what you create close up, and then when you step back, it looks very different. One of the other things that I really kind of drove home going through the experience of making a color gamp is the fact that when you have different sized yarns, it becomes very uneven. Here's what I mean. I'm going to gently pull this up, so there's a pull down, because you know how props are. It's going to just come flying down, I can tell. Okay, so look at my stripe right here. I used a fuzzy black, like a chenille, for the weft. You can hardly see anything in the warp. Now, in our heads, we know that's going to happen, right? Because the fuzzy chenille is bigger, but look how it completely covers up all of the warp yarns and affects then how the color is going to look. This is another one that's nice and chunky, but look at these then that are really, really fine. So just that kind of imbalance between the warp and the weft, that is going to completely affect the color as well. And then one of the last things that I learned, well, I learned a lot of things from going through the color gamp, but one of the other things I wanted to mention was that, let's see, not all colors are created equal. And here's what I mean by that. And you can jump in and tell me if you agree or disagree. Color is a little bit subjective too, right? But here's, for my money, what I discovered when I was really doing a deep dive into color is that my white stripe here, I find that white is much more powerful than black, which is fascinating because this is my black stripe here, right? And then I've got gray in the middle, and then I have white. But for me, I always feel like the black will affect the other colors to a certain degree, but the white really washes it out. And isn't that interesting? Because you would think they'd be really equal, that it would be one of those kind of, you're like, okay, well, white will make it 50%, brighter, and black will make it 50% darker. And I find, at least visually, it doesn't seem that way for me, which is just kind of a curious. Have you guys found that? Do you have any like funny colors that when you've been playing with them, you're like, oh, that's not exactly what I thought was going to happen? I tend to personally, if I'm doing a project, I don't use white very much. I tend to use natural because it's just a little bit softer. Anybody else? What are your thoughts on the whole, any colors that seem to be a lot stronger than the others? Leah says it's amazing the change in the color study with the white. Right, thank you. Michelle says, yes, this is why I often try a medium gray for weft, then the warp is colorful. I love that. Yeah, exactly. So I think there's so much that you can discover when you go through and create a color gamp. It's just this wonderful kind of, I know I keep saying deep dive, but that's all I can kind of come up with, is this idea is that you just spend this project dedicated to learning about color. Okay, so Kurt asks, color Gamp. Why is it called a color Gamp? That's a great question. I have no idea. How is that for an answer? A Gamp is a study. Now, here's what I've learned, and you guys can jump in and tell me if you know the answer to this. But I have not found that other. Can you have a Gamp with other things? With other, like, can you have a painting Gamp? I don't. That's a good question. I don't know the answer. How is that? I am not too proud to say. I don't exactly know. A Gamp is a study. That's what it is, ultimately. Joseph says, I only use white if I'm going to dye after weaving. Oh, lovely. Sandra says, royal purple is touchy. Ooh, you speak the truth, Sandra, for sure. Michelle says, yellow feels powerful to me as well. It's overwhelming at times. Yellow is hard, Michelle. I completely agree with you. Yes, I have found that, yeah, those are all great examples, you guys, of what colors that to kind of watch for. Because it's that whole idea that the colors aren't really created equally. You would think they would be, it's not quite in reality, which is so interesting and something that you just learn over time. So for my beginning weavers out there, if you're just starting, you're like, okay, that seems like a lot and a lot of subtlety. No worries. You will figure it out as you go, which is part of the reason it's so much fun to do a project like this, because you will personally learn all kinds of things, and you will probably learn different things than I learned because you're starting at a different place. So it's just it's a wonderful project to do. Sandra says, I think you could use a transparent watercolor for a Gamp. Oh, thank you, Sandra. See, I'm gonna have to do some. I will do some research. I will promise you. I will do some research on who else, what other art forms do Gamps, or if that's just specific to weavers. I don't know. I had never heard the phrase before I became a weaver, so it could be just an us thing. You know, we like to have all kinds of unique vocabulary for us weavers, right? Okay, so let's talk about the class. Because I love Color Gamp so much, I made a class. Because I thought this is such a great tool, and I want to make sure that I share it with all of you so that you can also kind of get more comfortable with color. So here's the nitty gritty. The class is a series of videos that talk about what is a color Gamp, why is it important, and talk about how to construct your own. It also includes a couple downloads for my exact project plan. So if the idea of creating a color Gamp on your own seems completely overwhelming, you're like, nope, I'm not there. No worries. I have specific instructions for you to actually create this color Gamp. And of course you can make modifications, all of that good stuff. But I wanted to make sure it was nice and clear for you so that it took out any anxiety about making your own project. You can just follow my notes, just tick, 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 just go along and you'll be all set. Now, the class is $49 and it is open to purchase through tomorrow at 6 p.m. So I've got a short little window when it is open for you. Now, those are kind of the nitty gritty, like the actual details. But the class, there's so much more to it then. Like I said, just the experience of going through and creating your own color Gamp. What happens is then once you have a color Gamp, hang it on the wall. Have it available so you can like refer to, oh, I really loved this combination right here. And you can be like, okay, what are those colors? You can kind of read the Gamp because it is like a science experiment. You can come through and be like, okay, how did I create that specific color and incorporate that into your future projects? It's going to be a great, like just a resource for you, a reference point for how things are going to come together in the future. For instance, I have everyone do a little bit of twill in the Color Gamp project. Now, what I think is so interesting is that this is a 2-2 twill, so it's equal. You have you see as much of the weft as you do the warp. But look how prominent the diagonal still is. And for my money, I kind of think that you can see more of the weft when it comes to anyways. Isn't that interesting? There's just so many little nuggets that you will discover as you are going through your Color Gamp. Let's see, Kim popped in. She said, when I came across the pop, I wrote it down in my weaver's journal. Ooh, good for you keeping a journal. Oh, I love that. Good job. My journal tends to be lots of little scraps of paper everywhere. So anyways, so yes, so it's so much fun. And if you are just starting out and let's see, Michelle popped in. She said, does the class include tips, ideas for those of us without a full rainbow range of colors. Oh, okay, okay, absolutely, Michelle. Yes, yeah. Here is, and I'll even tell you, here is kind of how I set it up. I set it up exactly like this, but I made lots of notes that said, if you don't have all these colors, do not worry. Use the colors you have. Start there. Start with the colors, the yarns that you already have, and then play with that. So scale it down to what you have. I don't want you to go out and buy a whole bunch of yarn. That is never the intention. But the yarn that you've purchased for a reason, probably because you like the colors. So start there and play with what you have at the moment. And then as you buy other yarn and bring it in, then you can kind of expand, you can do it again later or whatever you like. But yes, the idea is to use what you have. Now, I did mine on a 4-shaft loom, but you could very easily do it on a rigid heddle, since I know a lot of my beginners have rigid heddle looms. So Michelle says, darn, no excuse to buy more yarn. Okay, Michelle, if you need it, you just blame me. Say, Chris said I had to buy all these other colors. Absolutely. If that helps, my friend, just bring it. I'll take the heat. So yes, so if you have a rigid heddle, you can absolutely do it, because honestly, most of the project is plain weave. There's a small portion that's twill, but I know on a rigid heddle you can modify that and do some twill anyways. So yes, equipment, just use whatever you have. Use the materials that you have, unless you want to go buy more, of course, yes. Now, one of the questions that comes up is, does the project plan cover instructions for how to dress a loom? No, it doesn't, because there's so many different methods to get from a tube of yarn to a dressed loom. You just get there however you can. Get to the dressed loom part, and I will help you out from there. I'll help with the planning too, but not the actual. I dress front to back, and many people dress the other direction. So I didn't touch that kind of area of the process. You just get there however you can. Okay, so Curtin said Gamp comes from the Old English for umbrella. Oh, interesting. Okay, we need some research. Okay, so the class, the way it's set up is that once you purchase the class, you have the class. It's yours forever. So you don't have to do it within a certain amount of time. If you are really busy right now, you can keep it tucked away and then pull it out in a month or 2 or 6 and be like, okay, I'm ready to do my color Gamp. Let's do it right now. Now, the class is available through tomorrow evening, and I will tell you right up front, I'm going to offer it again. It will be for sale later on. However, this is the maiden voyage of this class, so this is going to be the least expensive it's ever going to be. The price will go up the next time that I offer it around, because I want this to be special for my folks that are jumping in to purchase the very first one, which reminds me, Mr. Acton there, if you will put the link in the chat. That will be awesome. Oh, Kim asked, is it only for floor looms? Absolutely not. No. This would be great on a table loom. Like I said, rigid heddle would work awesome. And pretty much any kind of loom that you have, because you're just doing plain weave. That's most of it. And the reason you're doing plain weave is because plain weave is the even, like you have the same spacing in the warp that you do in the weft. There's a certain kind of, from an experimental perspective, plain weave is great because you have kind of even distribution between both. And so plain weave is what most of the Gamp is. So yeah, absolutely. Floor loom, table loom. Now, if you need an excuse to go get a loom, yes. Yes, you have to get a specific kind of loom and all these different colors of fabulous yarn. So if that helps, all of that. So okay, and if you haven't picked it up, by the way, the class is perfect for beginners. If you're just starting out, this is absolutely for you. So let me know, what kind of questions do you have? Are there things that I haven't answered for you? Things that you're looking for? Let me know if there's anything else that I can kind of help round out so you get a good picture of what this is. It's a lot of fun, and I find that this becomes a great starting point for inspiration too. If I am thinking, okay, what do I do next? Do you ever get that when you're kind of stuck, like you finish a project you're working on for a long time, you're like, okay, now what? What do I do now? And Color Gamp is great to pull it out and be like, okay, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I love this mix of brown and blue, and I'm going to do something with those colors. I'm going to play with that just to see what happens. Like, one of the other things at the very bottom of the Color Gamp, if you have space, I have everyone do a little where you play with two colors, alternate two colors in the weft. And look at how fun that is. Can you see the little blocks? Such a cool effect. And that's when you start to get where you're starting to blend 2 and 3 colors together, which is just so much fun. So yeah, pop in with any other questions and let me know how I can help. If there's any questions about the class, about color, about whatever you've got in mind. Color was always so fun for me. I think partly because my mom's a retired elementary teacher, and her idea of like the perfect gift for like a road trip was like a box of crayons. Anybody else get crayons when they went on a road trip? Stocking stuffers, birthdays, whatever it is. And I gotta be honest, even to this day, I'm pretty darn excited to see some crayons in my stocking. Is that just me? That could be just me. I'm also the person that has to organize the crayons in order. Anybody else like markers, crayons? Michelle says she still loves a new box crayons. Michelle, you're my people. That is, yes, yeah. I'm the one that has to put them in order from, yeah. Leah says, yes, crayons, pencils, yeah, still extras floating here. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I have to do the whole rainbow thing. So, and you'll notice the color camp is kind of organized rainbow-ish, but it doesn't have to be, my friends. There's a lot of flexibility in the project. Like I said, I give you specific instructions, but if you wanted to veer off of that, there is no color police coming to your house to say you did the color Gamp wrong. So. All right, my friends, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It has really been awesome to check in with you. And Leah says, my youngest has 3 art courses plus a digital art course in grade 12 this semester. Ooh, good for her. I'm jealous. I didn't have nearly that kind of art instruction. That sounds awesome. But thank you for joining me. It's so good to catch up with you guys. And I love hearing about what you're doing and how everything is coming together for you. So I will make sure that there is a link in the video description so you can click there and pick up your copy of the Weave Your Own Color Gamp class. And I hope that you really enjoy it and it makes a big impact for you. All right, my friends, there will be a new video for Handwoven Experience tomorrow, so you can keep an eye out for that. If you have any questions about anything, of course, feel free to drop me a line. I'm here for you. All right, you guys, have a wonderful evening. And, I'll talk to you soon. Happy weaving.